a couple interesting hands the first few levels. One hand, the blinds are 400, 800 with an 800 big blind ante. Under the gun raises to 2K. I flat on his left with king queen, and then middle position, cutoff, button, and big blind all call as well. The flop is queen of diamonds, 9 of diamonds, 5 of spades. The under the gun initial raiser checks, and I put out a bet of 3,400. Everyone folds but the cutoff, and we're heads up to the turn. The turn is the 3 of diamonds. I put out another bet of 6,400. Maybe he had a hand like Jack 10 that just decided to fold on a turn, but who knows? Nice to take down that one right there. Okay, so this next hand, the blinds are 600, 1,200 with a 1,200 big blind ante. I open pocket queens under the gun to 2,600. I start the hand with like 65K. The guy on my direct left calls, and then the hijack 3 bets to 8K. Folds around to me, I go for the flat. I didn't necessarily want to 4-bet here and then get shoved on. So, I mean, we're still pretty deep, so I decided to just flat, and the other guy folds, so we're heads up. The flop is jack of spades, 2 of diamonds, 3 of spades. I check and he checks back as well, which is kind of strange. So now once he checked back, I mean, maybe he's checking aces or kings sometimes at some frequency if he doesn't think he's going to get 3 streets of value, but I feel like because it was a 3-bet pot, he would definitely be c-betting those hands. So maybe he had a hand like ace king or ace queen or something, who knows. So check on the flop. The turn is the 6 of clubs. I bet 9,200 and he tanks and then calls. The river is the deuce of clubs. I bet 16K, about a third pot, and he tanks for like at least 3 minutes, and he winds up folding. So I think maybe he had a hand like pocket tens or something. That would make sense. Maybe he made a nitty fold with a jack. I don't know, but whatever. So tipped up pretty nicely, and yeah, I'm excited. We're on a color up break, so it's gonna take a little bit, but check out the room here at Paris. Pretty nice. I lost a pretty big pot where it folds around to the button raises to 1,400. The blinds are 300, 600 with a 600 big blind ante. So he raises to 1,400. I flat from the small blind with 9, 10 of diamonds. I could 3-bet this spot, but I decided to flat. The big blind calls as well. So we're 3-way to the flop. The flop is jack, 8, 8, rainbow with 1 diamond. I check, big blind checks, and he c-bets 1,400, and I check raise to 4,500. He thinks for a little bit and then calls. The turn is the 8 of diamonds, so now I have the open-ended straight flush draw. I bet again, I bet 6,400, and he thinks for a bit and then calls. The river is the 5 of diamonds, so now I have a flush, and I know there's 2 full houses out there, but I do think I need to bet this river for value, and my plan was to just bet fold if he raised. So I bet 7,400, and he thinks for a little bit, and then he min raises me to like 14,800 or whatever. He's never doing that with a bluff. If he had like an overpair like aces or kings or something, I think he's just gonna flat and play bluff catcher. I had 3-bet him before, so I didn't, you know, if he had some kind of hand, I think he's just gonna call. So I wound up folding, and he shows a jack, so he had a full house, but it's all good. One of the first hands that I played, the blinds are 300, 600 with a 600 big blind ante. I open it up in middle position with ace, queen of diamonds, and a maniac on my left 3-bets me to 6,100. He's been playing every hand. So I flat. The flop is ace, king, 3, rainbow. I check, and he c-bets 6,300, and I call. The turn is an 8 of spades, now bringing in a spade flush drop. I check, and he quickly checks back. The river is an offsuit king, and I throw out a bet here for value. I think he's gonna call me with a lot where his ace is. So I bet 7,300, and he folds. The very next hand, I open pocket kings under the gun +1. The same maniac 3-bets me to 6,100, folds around to me, and I 4-bet to like 16,500. He snap shoves, and he has pocket 6s. Obviously I call. We get it all in pre-flop, and the flop is 5-4-3 with a flush draw, so he definitely flops some outs there. But I ran pure on the jack of clubs turn, and the river was a 3. So it was a really good first few levels, and yeah, I'm ready to keep crushing. I open ace queen off in early position. I get 4 callers. The flop is king of diamonds, jack of clubs, 8 of spades. I c-bet small. I go 2,500, and it folds around in the big blind, and the big blind calls. The turn is gin for me. It's the 10 of hearts. I bet 7,200, and he thinks for a little bit and then calls. The river is the 10 of spades. I bet really big. I bet 16,000, and he thinks for like ever and then folds. So we scoop under the gun, who's like a solid pro, from Israel, raises to 2,200. The blinds are 500, 1,000 with a 1,000 big blind ante. It folds around to me in the big blind, and I call with 9 of hearts, 8 of spades. I am 35,000 effective. So we're heads up. The flop is Jack of hearts, 10 of hearts, 4 of clubs. He c-bet and I call. Now there's 1 heart on the flop and I have 1 heart in my hand. So I have a gut shot. I only have 9 high and I have a hard blocker. I could check raise this spot. I thought about it, but he looked like he wasn't in a folding mood. So I flat and try to spike my gut shot on the turn, which I don't. The turn is the 9 of diamonds. Now I decide to donk lead here. I donk lead 6,600. And the reason I did this is because I didn't really want to check call. Like, I don't love check calling my hand, and I thought that if he had like a 10 or something that he might consider folding, or an under pair, or even if he had a hand like ace king that he c-bet the flop with. So I donk lead and he calls after he tanks for a little bit. The river is the 6 of spades, so everything bricks, and I bet 16,000. And he snap shoves and I fold for my remaining 10K, and he showed king 10, so yeah, he turned it straight, but I feel like that should have worked. The blinds were 200, 300 with the 300 big blind ante. It folds around to the button opens to 700. I have ace deuce of spades in the big blind and I call. We're heads up. The flop is ace of diamonds, 7 of diamonds, 2 of clubs. So I flop top and bottom pair. I check and he c-bets big. He c-bets 1,800 and I check raise to 5,500. He thinks for a while and then he 4-bets to 14K. I'm just like, what the heck? I'm like, is he going ham right now with like ace king? I'm like, this is great. I was hoping he had like either ace king or like king queen of diamonds that he was just like gonna go all in on the flop with. So I think for a little bit and then I shove and he calls after a while of tanking, and he has ace 8 offsuit, no diamonds. So I run pure. The turn was the 4 of hearts and the river was the 3 of clubs. So we got a double there. That was great. Okay, so that hand you just saw, the blinds are 300, 500 with a 500 big blind ante. The cutoff opens to 1,100 and I have king 9 of spades in the small blind. I 3-bet to 3,800. He thinks for a little bit and then calls. The flop is king of hearts, 5 of spades, 10 of clubs. Check, check. I check, he checks back. The turn is the 4 of hearts. I bet 4,100. He thinks for a little bit and then calls. The river is the 9 of clubs. I bet 5K. Wasn't really sure on the sizing there. I could have maybe sized up a little bit, but I wanted him to call with a 10, like maybe he had like ace 10 suited or something, so I was going for thin value. So I bet 5K and he calls and he says he has king queen, so we scooped a little nice one, and yeah. So this one hand I played, blinds are 200, 400 with a 400 big blind ante. I opened the cutoff with 9, 8 of hearts. I opened to 900, small blind and big blind call. The flop is king of hearts, 8 of spades, 7 of spades. Checks to me and I c-bet small. I c-bet 600. Small blind folds and the big blind calls. The turn is the 10 of diamonds. He checks and I check back here. I think this is a good spot for me to check back. I have some showdown value with my pair, so I check back. The river is the 4 of clubs. He bets 3,600 and I think for a little bit and I make the call. I don't block the spade flush draw that missed, and I do block like jack 9 and 6-9. So I made the hero call there with a pair of 8s, and he shows 9 for offsuit. So yeah, I picked that bluff off. That one was a fun one. And the blinds are 300, 500 with a 500 big blind ante. I open in early position with ace deuce of hearts to 1,100. Folds around the big blind and the big blind calls. The flop is 7 of hearts, 4 of diamonds, 2 of clubs. I c-bet small. I c-bet 800 and he calls. The turn is the 10 of hearts, so now I have bottom pair and the nut flush draw. He checks and I check back. The river is the queen of clubs. He bets small. He bets 800. And I think for a little bit, and it just didn't make sense to me what hands he's calling the flop with on the 7 high flop, that he's now value betting a queen river. So I thought that it's just like a lot of bluffs, like maybe he has a hand like 5-6, So I think for a little bit, and I call, and he shows 8-5 of clubs for 8 high. So they keep trying to bluff me. There was another hand where I called the river with like 4th pair, and the guy had 8 high also. So they keep trying to bluff me. I told them, I was like, guys, I don't like to fold. So you guys saw I built it back up to like 60 something K. I open under the gun with 7s, you saw, to 2K. Guy in middle position calls, and the big blind 3-bets small. He 3-bets to 7K out of the big blind. So I call, thinking the other guy's gonna call too, and then I'm playing in position on the big blind, who was a rug player. Oh, I'm like steaming, okay. So I call, the other guy folds, so we're heads up. The flop is 9-5-3 rainbow. I check, he c-bets small. I call, 9-5-3. I call. The turn is a 7, so now I hit my set of 7s on the turn. He bets 11K. I raise him to like 23K, and he thinks for a bit, shoves. I snap call, and he has 6-8 of diamonds, so he turned a straight. So he 3-bet 6-8 of diamonds small out of the big blind when I opened under the gun, and the other guy called. And he wound up hitting a gut shot on the turn, which gave me a set. I can't remember if there was a flush draw on the flop. You guys saw, but no, I think it was rainbow. I am steaming. Played kind of a weird hand. The blinds are 5,000, 15,000 with a 10,000 big blind ante. A little strange, I've never seen that before. Cut off limbs, it folds to me in the big blind, and I have 10 of clubs, 5 of hearts. So I check, and I'm about 200K effective at this point. Big blind is 15K. The flop is ace, 10, 4, 2 diamonds, and a club. So I have 1 club. I check, and he checks back. The turn is the king of clubs. So now I have the club blocker. I check again, and he checks. The river is the 2 of hearts. I check. Now I just want to get to showdown at this point, hoping to win with my pair of 10s. And so I check, and he bets 30K, which was like almost the size of the pot. So I wasn't too thrilled there. I thought for a little bit, and then I folded. But that's really it. You saw the rest. I mean, I got queens and a ace-queen pre-flop, so that was nice. I got ace-king into ace-king all in pre, and we chopped, but he had clubs, and there was 2 clubs on the board, so that was a sweat. Okay, so that was a fun one. So the blinds were 1,000, 1,500 with a 1,500 big blind ante. Early position raises to 3K. Later position calls, and I'm in the big blind with 7-6 of spades, and I call. The flop is 9 of spades, king of diamonds, 8 of hearts. The early position c-bets 3,500, and the later position calls. Now I can check raise this spot. I do like a check raise here, especially with only 7 high and drawing to the low end of the straight. But I decided to flat because the later position called, and I didn't think I could get either of the players off a king. So I called, hoping to realize my equity. The turn is a 7 of clubs. It checks around, so I check and the other players check. The river is a 7 of hearts, so I river trips. I bet big here. I bet 13,300 because I didn't think a king was gonna fold. So I bet big, and both players wound up folding. So I think they did fold like a hand like ace, king, or king, queen. So we took down a nice one there. Couple hands. The very first hand that I play, I sit down. The blinds are 100, 200. I open jack of hearts, 10 of diamonds, 9 of clubs, 6 of clubs to 400. Pretty good hand. I'm min raised in early position. I get 3 callers. The flop is 9 of diamonds, 6 of diamonds, 3 of clubs. I c-bet, so I have top 2 pair. I c-bet here. I want to get value from flush draws. I want to charge them for their flush draws, and it's not a spot where I want to check and let them realize their equity with their draws. So I definitely want to put money in the pot. So I c-bet 1,200. The button and the big blind both call. The turn is the ace of hearts, not the greatest card because now hands like ace 9 and ace 6 beat me. So the big blind leads here for 3K, which is interesting. I really don't love this spot. I do think he is going to be leading some of his like maybe flush and straight draw combos, but he could also easily have a set or maybe turn top 2 pair or maybe hand like ace 6 or ace 9, whatever. So I think my hand is too strong to fold just in case he has a draw. So I call, and the button calls as well. The river's the 4 of hearts. Big blind checks now, and I check back, and the button bets the size of the pot. He bets like 13K. So I'm just like, I'm not loving this. I think that once I call the big blind's lead for 3K on the turn, I think that the button is just gonna have a really like strong hand, and I don't think he's gonna be betting his missed draws there. I would assume that he would probably give up, but I don't know, what do I know? I just think that he probably had it. So the big blind and myself both folded. So that was one hand. Okay, so another hand, I lost a pretty big cooler. The blinds are 200, 300 with a 300 big blind ante. Under the gun raises to 900, button calls, and I call in the big blind with ace of hearts, queen of clubs, 10 of diamonds, 9 of diamonds. So pretty hand, love that hand. Flop is ace, ace, king, rainbow. So I flop top trips with the second nut kicker. I check, and under the gun player checks, so he doesn't see bet. Button bets the size of the pot. I think this is a good spot for me to call. I really want to get the under the gun player in, and if I raise, I'm afraid he's going to fold like a weaker ace. So I call, and the under the gun player calls as well. The turn is the queen. So now I have the second nut boat. I check, under the gun bets 3/4 pot, button folds, and I call. The river is a jack. I check, under the gun shoves, I call, and he has ace king. So I just don't think that there's anything I can do there. That one kind of stung. The only hands I lose to are ace king and quad king. So first, the hand that I had ace king. So the blinds were 1,000, 2,000 with a 2,000 big blind ante. I opened ace of clubs, king of hearts, under the gun to 2,000. The big blind calls. The flop is jack of spades, 9 of clubs, 5 of diamonds. So big blind checks. I see bet 2,500, and the big blind thinks for a little bit and then calls. The turn is the king of spades, now bringing in a spade flush draw. He donk leads 3K into me, and I'm just like, okay, this is kind of weird. Like, red flags going off. Like, I'm asking myself, is he donk leading like queen 10 for the straight, maybe to protect against the flush draws? But I also think that maybe he's donk leading like 10-8 maybe, or maybe spade combos, or maybe like second or third pair that he's just like trying to get the hand over with. So whatever. So he bets 3K and I call because now I have top pair, top kicker. The river is the 6 of diamonds. He shoves 11K. So he shoves 11 big blinds into me. And I'm not too thrilled, but I don't think this is a spot I can fold. I got a couple of opinions from people I respect, Chrissy Foxen, one of them. And I called, everyone said that they would call there. And he had king 5, so he turned 2 pair. So just kind of annoying. Like, I thought maybe I don't know. I didn't think he'd be donk leading like 2 pair there, maybe. I mean, I could see it more if it's like multi-way, but heads up. Okay, so this next hand, the blinds are 500, 1,000 with a 1,000 big blind ante. It folds to the cutoff min raises to 2K. I have queen of spades, jack of diamonds in the small blind. So I elect to 3-bet here. I like having mostly a 3-bet or fold only strategy from the small blind. And a hand like queen jack just doesn't play well post flop out of position. So I like to 3-bet. I like to 3-bet hands that are a little too good to fold but too weak to flat. And if we flat there, then the big blind now has the option to either 3-bet squeeze himself or call, and now we're playing a pot out of position on 2 players, a hand that doesn't really play well post flop. So I like to 3-bet here. I do think that the button is going to be calling with some worse hands, maybe like 9-8 suited, things like that. So I 3-bet to 6,200, and he thinks for a little bit and then calls. The flop is ace of spades, 7 of clubs, 4 of hearts. So total clean board. I'm definitely going to c-bet here. I'm not comfortable check calling, and anytime you're thinking of betting or checking, you always want to ask yourself, if you're the pre-flop aggressor, is your hand strong enough to check call? And if you're comfortable check calling, then you could probably check. But I'm not comfortable calling with queen jack on an ace high board, so I like to 3-bet, or I'm sorry, I like to c-bet. Plus the ace hits my three betting range perfectly. I'm three betting pretty much all of my ace-x combos there, like ace-king all the way down to ace-deuce. I'm probably three betting. I might find some flats with like ace-10 suited and things like that, but I am three betting a lot of my ace-x combos. So I c-bet small. I c-bet 3K and he calls. The turn is the queen of diamonds. So now I've hit my pair, second pair, and some nice showdown value. So I elect to check here. I don't want to continue barreling and bloating the pot. It's already a 3-bet pot. And I think at this point I could comfortably check call a bet. So I check, and fortunately he checks back. The river is the 2 of spades, so total brick. I check and he checks back and then mucks after I show my hand. So I took down that pot. I'd probably call a bet if he did decide to bet the river there. Yeah, so that was a good one. So the blinds were 300, 500 with a 500 big blind ante. Under the gun raises to 1200 and it folds around to me in the big blind. I have queen 9 of clubs. He raises to 1200, I call from the big blind. The flop is king of spades, 6 of clubs, 7 of diamonds. It goes check, check. The turn is the 9 of spades, now bringing in a spade flush draw. I decided to check here. I don't think that there's any reason to bet myself. Like, I don't want to donk lead here. I think that he is going to have some like ace highs in his check back range there on the flop. So maybe he would take a stab at those on the turn. Or maybe he would bet like a lower pair on the turn now. So I check and he bets 2K. Now I think my hand is too strong to fold. So I definitely think I should at least give it a call here on the turn. So I call. The river is the 7 of hearts, now pairing the board. I check and he bets 5K. I don't know, like in the event he turned spades, like I would hate to lay that hand down. I mean, I do have pretty decent showdown value. I would assume that he would be c-betting hands like ace king and king queen and king jack. Possibly checking back his like lower kings and maybe like his middling pairs like jacks, 10s, and queens, which all beat me. But I also think that he is gonna have like some bluffs on this river, like miss spades, like I said. So I don't know. I made the call and he had king 8 of hearts. So let me know what you guys think about that one. So the action on that hand, when I opened pre-flop with the 5-6 of hearts, big blind flat, you saw the flop, 10, 7, 8, 2 hearts. I had flush draw with the straight flush draw. I c-bet, he called. The turn was the ace of hearts. He check raised me. He check shoved on me. I called it off. He has 2 pair. Hits the ace on the river. Jeez. Cutoff opened and I called from the small blind with king jack off. Now normally I 3-bet this spot, but I decided I didn't want to play a massive pot on the bubble. So I just called and the big blind called. You guys saw the flop, queen 10, 9, 2 hearts. So I flopped the nuts and I have the jack of hearts. I check, big blind checks, and the original raiser c-bets 15K. So she goes pretty big. I decide to call here. I wanted to get the big blind in, especially with the heart blocker. Like I wasn't really like afraid of anything. So I called and the big blind called. The turn was terrible. The turn was a 7 of hearts, now bringing in the flush. I check and it checks around. The river is the 9, now pairing the board. So now there's full houses and flushes out there. And now I'm just like, crap, like now I just want to check this down. I check and the big blind bets 40K and the button raises to like 100 and something K. I fold and the big blind folds as well. I know that there's absolutely 0 chance that the button is bluffing there, especially on the bubble. She's just never raising with worse than a full house. I mean, maybe she's like raising the nut flush there, but I think she would just flat that. So very strange. I raised king 8 offsuit on the button off of like a 15 big blind stack, and the big blind calls. And you guys had a flop 8, 7 of clubs, 3, and she donk leads 15K, which is like almost the size of my stack. So I shoved for the remainder, and she calls with 10s, and we hit a king on the turn. I didn't think she was that strong. I thought that she would be like 3-betting that pre-flop. So I thought it was like a lot of draws, like a lot of 5, 6 and clubs, maybe a worse 8 or 7 or something. So We got lucky on that one. All right, so the blinds were 2,000, 3,000, 3,000. Middle position raises to 6,000, and I call in the big blind with 4 clubs, 4 of spades. The flop is ace of hearts, 7 of clubs, 4 of hearts. So I flop bottom set. She c-bets 10K, and I check raise to 25K. I really love check raising and fast playing middle and bottom sets because I'm not blocking top pair or middle pair, right? Especially on that board, like I am gonna have a lot of check raises out of the big blind. You know, maybe I would check raise like 5, 6 there, or like random hearts or something. So I am gonna have a lot of check raises there because it favors my range. So I raise to 25K and she calls. This is about a half pot size bet. So the turn is the 8 of clubs. I bet again, I bet about half pot here. I am really hoping at this point that she has an ace or maybe like good hearts, like a hand like king, queen of hearts or something that she's not gonna go away with. So I bet 25K, she thinks for a little bit and then she calls. The river is an 8 of diamonds, so now I boat up. I have 40K left in my stack and I shove. I'm just like praying that she puts me on a brick flush draw or something and Hero calls me with like ace king or ace queen. But she folded pretty quickly, which was pretty nice size, was like middle position open, and I 3-bet 5, 6 of hearts on the button. Small blind cold called, and the middle position player called as well. The flop was ace 6, 3 rainbow, 1 heart. I have 6, 5 of hearts. Checks around, and I bet small here. I don't want to check and then let them like decide the bet sizing on the turn. So I bet small. I bet like 2 big blinds, and the small blind folds, and the middle position player calls. The turn was a jack, check, and then I bet again because I think that he's gonna have a lot of like pocket 9s, 8s, 10s, things like that that might fold, and I really don't want to lose to those hands. I'm kind of turning my pair into a bluff here, so I bet again. What the plan was, I was gonna just bet one more time and then just give up on the river if he called. So I bet again and he calls. The river is a 5, so now I river 2 pair. I bet like about a half pot and he thought for a bit and he called with ace jack off. So it was a nice little very first hand. Cut off min raises, button calls. I'm in the small blind with king queen off and I 3-bet. It's a good spot to 3-bet. I like playing the small blind as a 3-bet or fold for the most part, and cut off and button like ranges are the widest. So I 3-bet, and the cutoff, who's like an aggressive Euro, min clicks it back. So he min 4-bets me, like the absolute minimum amount. The button folds, and I think for a second, and I call. The flop is king jack 4 rainbow. I check, and he c-bets a quarter pot. I call. The turn is a blank, it's an 8, offsuit 8. I check, and he bets again, like little under half pot, and I call again. The river is a 2. I check, and he shoves. And at this point, I'm just like, shit, like, I think that he can easily have aces, ace king, king jack, jacks, things like that. I mean, jacks, I don't know why it was 4-bet pre-flop, but I mean, there's just a lot of hands that beat me, and it looks really strong on my part. Like, it looks like I can easily have a king or ace king or something. So whatever. So I thought for a second, and I folded, and he showed a 5 for nothing. So the action on that went under the gun limps. The blinds are 300, 600 with a 600 big blind ante. Under the gun limps. I raised to 2,400 with king of clubs, king of diamonds. Middle position calls, cutoff calls, and the limper under the gun calls as well. The flop is 3 of clubs, 9 of diamonds, 7 of clubs. I c-bet 3,600 and the limper calls. So now we're heads up. The turn was the 5 of diamonds, now bringing in 2 flush draws. And he just shoves into me for like, his shove was like over the size of the pot, like 150 times the pot. I see you. Jared, I'm in the middle of a hand. This is so hard with everyone interrupting. So whatever, I figured that, thought it was weird. I thought if he had 6-8, like he wouldn't just be shoving. He was staring me in the eyes, and I thought that, I just felt like he was bluffing. I also took a big pot off him earlier, and he was like pretty frustrated with. It was risky, and he is going to have some 2-pair there. He's going to have some like 9-7 and things like that. But I also think that it's just a lot of bluffs, a lot of draws. So I made the call, and he had Jack 10 of diamonds, and we held. Fun one. 400, 800 with an 800 big blind ante. Under the gun +1 opens to 1600. I have ace of spades, queen of club in cutoff position, and I 3-bet to 4,400. I think this is a good spot as like a 3-bet like semi-bluff, but also like a 3-bet for value. I just like putting pressure on my opponents. He ends up calling. The flop is 10 of clubs, 6 of diamonds, 4 spades. He checks, and I c-bet small here. I c-bet 3,200, and I do this because I don't want to just check here and then give him the option to decide the bet sizing on the turn. And I think my hand is like too strong not to call a bet. So if I'm gonna call a bet on the turn, I might as well just bet small myself. So I bet 3,200 and he calls. The turn is the queen of hearts. So now I've hit top pair, top kicker, which is always fun. He checks and I check back. I check here, you know, because I don't think I'm gonna get 3 streets of value from a 10. It also kind of disguises my range a bit when I check. I think I'm gonna get paid more on rivers. So I check back. The river is a 7 of hearts. He checks, and I bet 8,500. So about half pot here. I'm hoping to get called by like a 10 or pocket 9s or 8s or something. So he thinks for a bit, he calls and mucks, so we took down the hand. So you guys saw the king-queen hand. The action on that one was the blinds were 1,000, 1,500 with a 1,500 big blind ante. I raised king of clubs, queen of diamonds to 3,200 on the button. The big blind flat. The flop is king of diamonds, queen of clubs, 8 of clubs. So I flop top 2 pair, and I have a club blocker. So he checks. I decided to c-bet small here. I bet 2K, and the reason is because I block top 2 pair, so I'm blocking a lot of his calling range. I'm blocking some of his flush draws because I'm holding the king of clubs. But I want to keep him in with like hands like jack 9, ace 10, and things like that. He's also going to have completely missed this. I have like ace 3 or something, so if he had like 3 of diamonds or something, like I want him to call. So I bet small. He calls the 2K. The turn is the 5 of diamonds. Definitely going to be betting again here. I bet 5K now. I do think he's going to have like a lot of jack 10 combos. You know, maybe he called the flop with an 8. That's probably going to fold to another bet on the turn here. He still could have some flush draws. He could still have like hands like jack 9, maybe with a club blocker or something. Or maybe it's a king or a queen. So I bet 5K, he calls. Now the river is the 3 of hearts, so a total brick. Now I decide to really bet big here. I bet 19,500, which is like a little under the size of the pot. It's about a pot size bet. It's because I wanted to look really polarized, so I wanted to look like I bricked draws. And if he had bricked a draw, like if he had a flush draw that missed, or if he had jack 10 that missed, he's not going to be able to call any size bet. I figured, why not bet big? In the event he has a king, he might hero call us. If he doesn't have a club blocker, he might even be more inclined to call us with a king or a queen. So I decided to bet big. He thought forever and wound up folding. So I think he was really close to calling there. So that was a fun one, and we took down a nice little pot. The under the gun player raises to 5K. He's like pretty aggressive player, raising a lot of hands. I have queen of hearts, queen of club in later position, and I 3-bet to 13,500. We are 70,000 effective. He calls. Flop is jack of spades, 8 of diamonds, 5 of spades. He donk leads into me. He bets 8,500. I think it's better to call in the event he has pocket 10s or 9s or like jack 10, queen jack. Like, I don't think those hands are going to be able to withstand a raise. So I decided to call and let him keep bluffing into me. So I called. The turn is the 8 of hearts. He bet 16,500. I was debating shoving or calling, and I was like going through the options in my head. So I went all in. There's no guarantee that he's gonna bluff brick river. So if he has a draw like 9-10, maybe like queen 9 of spades, those hands are gonna check and give up at some frequency because my range looks pretty strong. Looks like I can easily have aces, kings, queens. So I didn't think that there was a guarantee that he was gonna bluff if he missed. And I did wanna charge him and deny his draws equity, right? Like if he had a hand like 9-10 or a flush draw, like I wanted to charge him for those hands. Plus I thought that there was a chance that he would like spaz call it off with ace draw because I was being pretty aggressive and had shown down a couple bluffs earlier. I wound up shoving. He thought forever and wound up folding, and he said that he had red 7s, so pocket 7s. I mean, I don't know, maybe if I had just called, he would have bluff shoved the river, but I don't think so. That was a fun one. That the blinds were 500, 1,000 with 1,000 big blind ante. I have 60,000 to start the hand, and my opponent has 40K to start the hand. She raises the cutoff to 2K, and I have queen of spades, jack of diamonds on the button. I like to 3-bet this. I don't love flatting here. I don't want to give the blinds incentives to squeeze or call, and queen jack off just doesn't play well post flop. So I'd rather like 3-bet and either get her to fold or isolate it to a heads up pot. So I 3-bet to 5,400 and she calls. The flop is 10 of hearts, 8 of diamonds, 3 of clubs. So I have 2 overs and a gut shot. I c-bet here to 3,600. She thinks for a little bit and then she calls. The turn is the ace of hearts. I decided to bet again here because I am now double gutted, and the ace is like a good scare card, and I don't think she's gonna have too many like random ace highs on the flop that she's calling with. I mean, maybe she's like, I feel like ace king is probably 4-betting pre-flop, so like maybe she's floating with like ace king or ace jack, but she does, then she does. But anyway, so I bet again 8,200 and she folds. For the action on that, the blinds are 600, 1,200, 1,200. Lady opens the button to 3K, and I noticed that she was raising like every time it folded to her on the button. So she was raising a lot of buttons. I was in the big blind with king 5 of clubs. I don't love calling there, and when someone's like over opening on your button, you need to start taking those hands and putting them into 3-bets. Plus, like with her stack size, she didn't really have that much, so I wanted to put pressure on her like 25 big blind stack. So she called. The flop you saw was ace of clubs, 10 of clubs, 9 of spades. I flopped the nut flush draw, so I rip it. She had like less than the pot in her stack, so I just rip it because like I didn't want to like bet half and then I'm calling off a shove anyway. Like if I bet half and then she rips it, if I'm calling anyway, so I just figured I might as well just shove myself. And you guys saw, turn was the king of spades, river was the king of diamonds, so we got lucky on that one. Blinds are 1,000, 1,500, 1,500. Button raises to 3,200. I have ace 10 off in the big blind. I call. The flop is 10, 5, 2 rainbow. I check. She c-bets small. She bets 2,500. I call. The turn is another 5. Now pairing the board. I check. She checks back. Thought about leading, but I decided to check. She checks back. The river is a deuce. Now double pairing the board. So I definitely think I need a bet here for value. So I bet small because I wanted to get value from under pairs like pocket 3s or like middling pairs like pocket 7s, 8s. So I go 6K and she snap calls and mucks. So I don't know what she had, but she probably had some kind of middling pair, maybe 6s, 7s. Cutoff opened and I called from the small blind with king jack off. Now normally I 3-bet this spot, but I decided I didn't want to play a massive pot on the bubble. So I just called and the big blind called. You guys saw the flop, queen, 10, 9, 2 hearts. So I flop the nuts and I have the jack of hearts. I check, big blind checks, and the original raiser c-bets 15K. So she goes pretty big. I decide to call here. I wanted to get the big blind in, especially with the heart blocker. Like I wasn't really like afraid of anything. So I called and the big blind called. The turn was terrible. The turn was a 7 of hearts, now bringing in the flush. I check and it checks around. The river is the 9, now pairing the board. So now there's full houses and flushes out there. And now I'm just like crap, like now I just want to check this down. I check and the big blind bets 40K and the button raises to like 100 and something K. I fold and the big blind folds as well. I know that there's absolutely 0 chance that the button is bluffing there, especially on the bubble. She's just never raising with worse than a full house. I mean, maybe she's like raising the nut flush there, but I think she would just flat that. So very strange. I raise king 8 offsuit on the button off of like a 15 big blind stack, and the big blind calls. And you guys saw the flop, 8, 7 of clubs, 3. And she dump leads 15K, which is like almost the size of my stack. So I shove for the remainder. And she calls with 10s and we hit a king on the turn. I didn't think she was that strong. I thought that she would be like 3-betting that pre-flop. So I thought it was like a lot of draws, like a lot of 5, 6 and clubs, maybe a worse 8 or 7 or something. So we got lucky on that one. The blinds were 2,000, 3,000, 3,000. Middle position raises to 6,000 and I call in the big blind with 4 clubs, 4 of spades. The flop is ace of hearts, 7 of clubs, 4 of hearts. So I flop bottom set. She c-bets 10K and I check raise to 25K. I really love check raising and fast playing middle and bottom sets. because I'm not blocking top pair or middle pair, right? Especially on that board, like I am gonna have a lot of check raises out of the big blind. You know, maybe I would check raise like 5-6 there, or like random hearts or something. So I am gonna have a lot of check raises there because it favors my range. So I raised to 25K and she calls. This is about a half pot size bet. So the turn is the 8 of clubs. I bet again, I bet about half pot here. I am really hoping at this point that she has an ace or maybe like good hearts, like a hand like king, queen of hearts or something that she's not gonna go away with. So I bet 25K, she thinks for a little bit and then she calls. The river is an 8 of diamonds, so now I boat up. I have 40K left in my stack and I shove. I'm just like praying that she puts me on a brick flush draw or something and hero calls me with like ace king or ace queen. But she folded pretty quickly.